What knowledge might save your life one day? If someone threatens you with a gun or something and they want to move you to another location, your chance of dying goes up considerably if you agree to relocate. Polar bears have insane ADHD. If one is chasing you, intermittently drop clothing items like a hat or gloves. It will stop to sniff them. Normal prey animals don't shed whole pieces of themselves. The bear will be perplexed. Saw on Reddit somewhere else. Firefighter training. If there is a fire, crawl out of the building. Do not stand up to run. 1 or 2 breaths of smoke are enough to do major damage and require hospitalization, if you get out at all. It may be warm where you are crawling, but standing up can cook your skin and your lungs. The smoke at our level can be more than 600 degrees C, 1200 degree F. If you can't see and don't know the room layout, crawl with your feet legs in front of you, sliding on your ass. Do not crawl face first, or you may take a dive down a staircase in the confusion. If you're being pulled out to sea by a current, swim parallel to the shore while letting yourself be carried out until you're out of its grip, rather than waste your energy fighting against it. If a canker sore in your mouth or on your tongue isn't healing in about 2 weeks, it might not be a canker sore. I'm going into surgery today, and they will likely remove 100% of my oral cancer because of early detection. Know how to spot a stroke. An easy way to remember is the acronym FAST. Face is one side of your face droopy. Can you fully smile? Arms, can you hold your arms out straight? Speech, are you unintentionally slurring your words? Time, call an ambulance right away. Time is of the essence. If someone gets stabbed, do not take the knife out if possible. If it stays in, it acts as a plug to the hole and will reduce blood loss. Apply pressure around the wound as best as you can and call an ambulance. I remember reading in a Reddit post similar to this, that if you can't do a pull-up you probably won't have the strength to pull yourself up off a ledge, and that has stuck with me ever since. Planck's constant is 6.62607015 x 10-34 J's. The instinct of wolves will only cause them to hunt you if they can intimidate you into fleeing from them. Standing your ground against a wolf pack will be terrifying, but will eventually cause them to bugger off. If you're being followed, quickly try and hug someone nearby and whisper in their ear the situation quickly. Most people will just pretend to know you to keep you safe. If you've been carjacked and the carjacker tells you to just drive, take whatever chance you get to wreck. At minimum, you're getting emergency services involved, meaning it's more likely they'll be caught, and there's a chance you'll incapacitate or even kill the carjacker. Of course, there's also a chance that you might not survive. But if they are taking you to a second location, odds are you weren't going to come back anyway. How to make a solar still. It could be the difference between life and death if you were stranded in the ocean, or set adrift without direction. It takes contaminated or salinated water and purifies it. Materials: a wide-brimmed, open-topped vessel for holding water such as a pot or a bowl. Plastic sheet, with optional fastening, such as a rubber band or a cord. Any mildly dense small object, such as a pebble or a coin. Cup, or smaller bowl, whose height and width, both, should not exceed the height and width of bowl number 1. Sunlight. Steps. 1. Fill bowl with contaminated water, not to the top. 2. Place empty cup in center of bowl, displacing some of the water. Don't let contaminated water into cup. 3. Fasten the plastic sheet over the big bowl, but not pull taut. There should be some give. 4. Place pebble on sheet, directly above cup, creating a downward pointing cone shape, pointing into the cup. Sunlight should evaporate the water up out of its contaminants and onto the sheet. It'll cling to the sheet and slope downwards into the cup. Bada bing. Bada boom. Clean water. If you're caught in an avalanche and buried under snow, Spit to see in which direction you need to dig so you don't go the wrong way. I'd say the survival rule of 3. Humans can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 hours without shelter, and 3 minutes without oxygen. Helps get your priorities straight should it come to it. Lock all your doors when you're in the house. No neighborhood is 100% safe. Swimming. No, seriously, if you live in a country with lots of rivers, lakes and bridges, swimming is rather important. All snakes in Victoria, Australia are venomous. A friend who grew up in a rough neighborhood taught me this one. If you're on a bus and robbers get on, you have a chance of not having your stuff taken or being bothered at all if you pretend to be asleep. For all that it's scary for the passengers when 1 or 2 duck RS with gums climb on a bus. It's also stressful for the robbers. They have to keep their eyes on a lot of people at once to prevent anyone from calling the police, prevent the driver from signaling distress somehow, and prevent all passengers from reacting in dangerous ways. If you're asleep, that's one person less for a robber to manage. So they may not bother to wake you up and have another wild card to deal with, just to get your phone and wallet. Platypuses have venomous spurs on their legs. Never, ever go to the second location. I'm sure other people have said something similar to this already, but this is really important. If you get taken to the second location, your chances of making it out alive reduces to almost 0. If someone tries to kidnap you, do whatever you can to get them off you. Scream, kick, whatever. Your aim is to knock them out. Hell, to heal them. The more of a fight you put up and the longer you stall, the more likely it is they will give up and leave. If you do get taken, make a trail. If you can, drop small items like a watch or earring periodically. And if you are in a vehicle, spit around the place. Pull out pieces of your hair. Wipe your blood on stuff. Basically put down as much DNA as you can. The headrest in a car is made to come off and break the windshield in case of submersion. If a power line falls down on the ground near you, it's safer to get away on only 1 foot, to avoid a high voltage difference between your feet. If you notice a lack of small creatures or woodlands animals nearby, most fear human interaction, but you'll know they're there. But if it is noticeably empty, then you're likely in a predator hill zone. Similarly, if you see a lot of vultures circling, it can mean dead animal or predator animal cache. So be aware of this when you're in the outdoors. If you are in the wild and stumble upon a big heap of food and drink, don't consume it in one go very quickly because it could seriously shock your inside. Better to drink water consistently throughout the day than drinking when thirsty. Army boot camp taught me this. That water you're about to dive into might not be as deep as you think. Let it go. Don't let road rage influence your behavior. It's not worth it. Take a deep breath. Count to 10. Take your foot off the pedal. Disengage. It's not worth it. You matter. You have value. Even if you don't see it yet. The more you struggle in quicksand, the faster you sink. Certainly thought I would need this more often than I actually do. Good diet and exercise will make you lose weight. If the tide suddenly goes out unexpectedly, run like you stole it. For higher ground. Maybe not your life, but everyone should have basic first aid CPR training if possible. My dad collapsed on Saturday morning when he got up to go to the toilet, and neither me or my mum know basic first aid or CPR. The ambulance took 8 minutes to arrive and we only live 4 streets away from the depot. Luckily he came to, but there was a point where he stopped breathing. If he continued to not breathe, 8 minutes would be too late. Please learn and hope you don't need it, instead of needing it and not knowing. Blindfold yourself and try to find the way out of your own house. You will be surprised how hard it is to find the stairs etc. Practicing this once every 3 months will allow you to find your way out in case your house is filled with smoke from a fire, which can happen inside a minute. If you be a bunch more will come to that specific area, so it is a good idea to leave from there. If you're a pedestrian and crossing a street, if you can't see the sun's reflection on the windshield of a car, there's a good chance the driver cannot see you. If you have to get out of a moving car, then put one foot down and take a step. Don't just jump out. This will reduce your speed immensely. Sure, you will fall over, but at a much reduced speed. A stuntman told me this. Direct pressure on bleeding is always the first step. If you're starving and somehow manage to gain access to a polar bear corpse, don't eat the liver. It's got so much vitamin A that it'll cause an overdose and end death. Wearing a helmet when cycling. You can start a fire with a 9V battery, extra fine steel wool, a cotton ball, and kindling. Pile the kindling atop the steel wool. Wedge the cotton ball beneath the kindling, and rub the battery against the steel wool until the wool begins to spark. Once it has caught, surround the kindling with the larger pieces of firewood. Of course, if you have all those things, you probably have matches and stuff too. Rip currents, often incorrectly called riptides, are strong currents that can form near the shore of beaches and extend hundreds of feet past the surf zone. If you find yourself being carried out to sea in a current, do not try to swim directly back to shore. You will only bring about exhaustion. Instead, swim parallel to the shore until you are out of the current. I'll throw mine with the Heimlich maneuver, which is an emergency procedure for removing a foreign object lodged in the airway that prevents a person from breathing. Can definitely save a life. Bushcraft is good to know should you find yourself stuck in the wild. Basic escape planning can do good in an urban environment. Know your exits. Active shooter. Fire. Whatever. Knowing where to go besides the door you came through can save your life. Just went to a new movie theater yesterday and the wife couldn't find the exit of the cinema we were in. Layout was alike different, but I noted where we came in and where the exit door was without thinking about it. And a last little tidbit. If you are stuck in a disaster situation and desperately need water, you can get whatever water is left in a water heater by opening the release valve, usually a little spout at the bottom. If it doesn't come out, try opening the line by turning a faucet on. Depending on the size of your water heater, you have another 30 or so gallons of water. When encountering a stray dog, if it's straightening its tail and looking at you, then don't look it in the eyes. That will awaken its hunting instinct and attack you. You may also want to slowly back or walk away, as you may be trespassing in their territory. If you are being kidnapped and forced into someone's car, try to kick out the tail light. This might get them to be pulled over by police. I've also heard you can kick through the tail light from the trunk in some vehicles. Contrary to common myth, you can file a missing persons report before 24 hours have passed. Putting it off a day because they went missing that night could very easily be the difference between them being found or not. Never steal from someone who you can't outrun.